This is an aerial view of a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art diamond recovery plant. And where is it located? South Africa? No, it's in southwestern Arkansas, just a couple of miles from the Crater Diamond State Park. In fact, here's Murfreesboro, Arkansas, and this is the Crater Diamond State Park. It's 911 acres, and the search field is 37 acres. And the diamond recovery plant is up here at the American Mine site. So the diamond recovery plant is about going northeast about 5 miles away from the Crater Diamond State Park, back up in the hills. Now what we're looking at here, this is the heart of the diamond recovery plant. And here are water storage tanks. They're huge. It looks small in this picture, but it's an aerial photo. These are ore storage bins, huge concrete storage bins, almost like a concrete basement with one side open, and then also over here as well. And this is the office. And I'll explain, there's a 30-foot seawall here, a drop. So you've got this upper level here, and the ore is stored here. After it's dug up, it's dumped and stored there, and then fed into the plant, and then it kind of gravity feeds down the side of this 30-foot drop. So they used gravity in their favor for processing the ore. This is called the settling pond or the slimes dam. It was given both names, but so after the ore is washed, the silt that's in it, the real small fine particles, are pumped down here and dumped on the ground, and the water runs off and into this pond. And at this side of the pond, there's a pump that pumps the water out and pumps it back to these 3 large water storage tanks to be used for processing. Now, to supplement the recycled water from the pond, there was also a deep well here, and so we had fresh well water and recycled pond water, so we never had a water problem in processing. Now, I worked at Texas Star Diamond Incorporated Inc.'s diamond recovery plant in 1996 and 2000 and 2001 and part of 2002. Let's go on and see some other photos here. Whoops. This, I told you about the water storage tanks. Here they are. These are the 3 that got the recycled water from the settling pond, and this is a small one from the well, that pumped fresh water up. But actually, it was still pretty good size. These are just huge. And this view is from the upper level on top of the seawall. And this view is down at the bottom, and you can see the 30-foot seawall there. This is the main monitor gun where you fed the ore into the plant, and then it dropped down into a scrubber, and I'll talk about all that in a minute. But these are the water storage tanks, and they really were massive. So when the ore is dug up, a uke or a dump truck would back up into the ore storage bin and dump it. And then as the plant needed ore, it had to be fed at a steady rate. Then we would take a front end loader and scoop it up and dump it in the hopper. And the ore was fed into this hopper and piled up. That's me running the monitor gun. And this is a high pressure water hose. And this is a flexible joint. You can go up and down and sideways and turn all around so that you could shoot at the pile of dirt anywhere in this ore storage bin. You could hit it with this jet of water and it would wash it down in there. Now, you had to learn not to go as fast as you wanted to go. You had to pace it so that you didn't overwhelm the plant. You had to feed it a while and then turn and look over your shoulder and look down at the main preparation screen and see how much ore was going across it. Because if you got too much, the gravel pumps would choke and plug, and then you'd have to shut the whole plant down, dump everything. clean out the pumps, and shovel everything back in. So you did not want to overfeed the plant, but it was easy to do. You can get carried away, fun feeding it, and then you end up, it takes you longer and you get less done if you try to go too fast. And after you washed it in, it went through, these are grizzly grates, about 8 inches by 12 inches, almost square, almost 1 foot square. And the ore would drop down through there. And these were spinning drums with 4-inch long bronze teeth. And this was called a galaxy sizer. And these two drums spun together so that everything went down right in the middle here. And it knocked all the chunks that fell through this 8-inch by 12-inch grate, it swallowed them up and made them much smaller to go on down through the plant. Okay, so the monitor gun is up here. That's where I was standing, and they're fed. We're at the top of the 30-foot seawall, the retaining wall. So I was at the top feeding it in, and then it went through the galaxy sizer here and made it smaller, and it went into a chute, and the chute dropped down into, this is called a scrubber. It's a horizontal rotating drum, kind of like a trommel, except the only way it exits is at this far end. And so this rotating horizontal barrel just runs the wet rocks and water and all in this scrubber that's kind of like a clothes dryer in a way. It just tumbles everything over and over and over around in circles, and then it comes out this far end and drops onto a main preparation screen. And here's a photo. So there again is the monitor gun at the top. It drops down. This is the scrubber, and I'm standing, this is me standing here by the main preparation screen. And the real fine stuff that falls through the first screen goes to the settling pond. It's the silt, it's the mud, it's the, tiny particles. The medium-sized particles is what you need, and it goes to the dense media separation to be separated from the ore from the diamond. And then the oversized stuff waterfalled over the end of the vibrating thing and went in here and went up a conveyor to a rock crusher. It was a rolls crusher, and it would be crushed, and then it would be pumped back up into the scrubber and go back over the main preparation screen now that the pieces were smaller. So to explain it a little better, okay, this is your slimes dam or settling pond, and you've got your water pumping back to the plant. And you also have the freshwater makeup, the well that I showed you was the smaller tank. And so the fresh water and the recycled water mix together, and they go in. And the beautiful thing about diamond recovery is you don't use any caustic materials. There's no acids or no cyanide or anything. It's water. So it's very environmental friendly. All you use is water, but you need a lot of it. So the water and the ore that was in the bins are mixed together, and they go through the crusher that I showed you, the galaxy sizer. And then it goes into the scrubber, the horizontal barrel that I showed you, and then it goes across the main preparation screen. The little stuff, like I told you, it falls through and it goes out to the slimes dam or the settling pond where the silt drops out and the water is recycled. But the parts that we're after that aren't teeny tiny, they're pumped into the DMS plant, and that stands for dense media separation. And that uses a cyclone with ferrosilicate as a medium. It makes a dense slurry and swirls it around in a vortex inside the cyclone. There's no working mechanism inside the cyclone, but it swirls around there at a speed, and your light material goes one way and your heavy material goes another. Your light material, which is 99.9% of everything you wash, is this light material. It goes over to a conveyor belt and is loaded up in a dump truck and just hauled off. That's your tailings. You just get rid of it. And then that 1% or less goes on to the diamond recovery plant. And in the diamond recovery plant, it's sized, it's screened according to size, and then it goes through the X-ray sorter with like-sized rocks. And then it goes across the grease table. And then that goes to the sort room. And we didn't really use the attrition, but after it goes to the DMS and to the recovery plant, and the X-ray sorter finds the diamonds and the grease table finds what diamonds the X-ray sorter might have missed, then it goes to the sort room, and that's your final product, is the diamonds. That's what you end up with. That's what you went to all that trouble for. This is the DMS. It's the size of like a double-decker school bus. It's the heart of the plant. This is what really separates the lights from the heavies, and this pulls the diamonds and denser materials out of the ore. This is the Sortex, and this is me standing by it. This is the X-ray sorter, and the material comes down this funnel and is real slowly fed in a waterfall across an X-ray. And if it detects that there is a diamond there, it shoots a burst of air and blows the diamond over into this other bin, which you can later hand sort and find real easily. And this is what that plant recovered, was some beautiful diamonds. These are natural, resorbed Arkansas diamonds. They are the genuine article. These are beautiful, natural, uncut, unpolished. These are the natural shapes that the diamonds are in, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. So to get to that point, to get the diamonds, at Blacklick we had a 240 acre field. Now, how big is an acre, and what are we looking at? This is a ground magnetic survey, so to figure out where in the 240 acres we wanted to dig a hole and sample for diamonds, we laid out a grid. Oh, how big is 240 acres? Well, 1 acre is the size, roughly, of a football field. So 240 football fields, and you want to find out where to dig the hole. So we laid it out in grids. If you can see, all these are grid lines. One after another, after another, after another, all the way across this whole field, all these grid lines. And what I mean by grid line is we went out into the woods and actually made a line with a bulldozer, sometimes with a tractor and a bush hog, and cut through the small pine plantation that was there, cut down the trees, and went through and measured off and put a stake every 25 feet. All the way down that line, and that was one line, and then we went back and we did another line and another line. I happened to take that picture when it was snowy because you could see it real well, and it's rare to ever get snow in Arkansas, but we got like an incredible snow. Maybe you can see the stakes better. So here's one, here's the next stake, the next one, the next one, the next one, and it goes on down into infinity almost. And we spent months staking it out, and then they hired a company to come along with a ground magnetometer, did a high intensity ground magnetic survey, and took magnetic readings over this whole field. Whoops, go back here. And the high magnetic readings were right here, and the geologists studied the magnetic readings and determined where they wanted to drill. And so then we did an extensive core drilling operation. So if this spot looked good to the geologist, we bulldozed a road in there and took a drill in there and core drilled down. And core drill, you bring like a tube of rock up out of the ground from depths of, 200 feet, 350 feet, however deep, they wanted you to go. And then a geologist analyzed the core, and then they thought, okay, if say like right here, this spot looked good, and they core drilled it, and the core looked good, and the geologist said, okay, let's see how many micro diamonds in that. In a little tube of rock, you wouldn't expect to find a macro diamond, a large diamond, a diamond of any size. So they crushed it and did a heavy liquid separation and looked for micro diamonds in it. And that's what I did after laying out the grid for months and months working in the field. Then I came inside in the lab, and this was my office, and we crushed the core, and then I would put it in bowls of dense liquid. This is the dense liquid, LST they called it. It was non-caustic, and the light material would float and the heavy things like diamonds would drop to the bottom, and then we would want to reuse it. So we rinsed everything off and it got water mixed with it. So then we heated it to get the water out of it to reuse the LST. So it was quite a lab operation. But then I took the heavy minerals that sunk to the bottom of the dense media, and I looked through this microscope for weeks and weeks and weeks. And when I found micro diamonds, any mineral I found I made note of and wrote out pages of information and everything, whether there was chrome diopside or peridot or chrome spinel or pyrite. I even found a flake of gold in it, but anyway, they were mainly interested in micro diamonds. Then, after the result of the magnetic survey and the core analysis, then a geologist picked this spot where a drill core had been, where this pipe was. I'm standing there by it and said, okay, this is where we want to do an excavation. Well, we had a road that went right there. So if they were going to dig a big hole there, they had to build a new road around and then put the hole there. And that's what we did. And so they brought in the big D9 cats and some other equipment. This is my Jeep that I was driving at the time, parked next to it just to show the size. It was massive equipment. And they spent months digging a hole in the ground. This is the pipe I was standing by that used to go by the road, and they dug this massive hole with this excavator and the bulldozers in there, and they pushed everything over to the side. Eventually this came out, but they kept that in the middle as a reference point. But they spent over $750,000 on this hole in the ground. So there again is the excavator and the bulldozer, and this is Blacklick, and they're making this huge expensive excavation at Blacklick, and this photo was taken in March of 2001. And then what happened is they dug and hauled 8,000 tons of this over to the plant, and they washed 2,000 tons of it and found less than a half carat of diamonds. So they said, what happened here? They decided, wait a minute, let's not process the other 6,000 tons, let's see what's wrong. Well, the geologist restudied the core and everything, and they said, well, although this was a good spot for diamonds, they were deeper. So what they decided to do was go back and wide bore drill it. Well, at the time, by that time, it had sat there so long it filled up with water. So we had to pump the water out of the Blacklick excavation. It was a lake by that time. And then we got down to the dry dirt again, and they brought this huge wide bore drill in and began to pull up a sample from 187 feet deeper. See that? Look at that big auger. That's how they brought it up, and this was in September of 2002. And it made a deep hole in the ground. But we brought the ore up, and turned out geologists not as smart as they look. There were no diamonds in that at all. So a multi-million-dollar diamond recovery plant, great place to work, but they decided there weren't enough diamonds here to keep going. So the company laid everybody off and sold the equipment. It was disassembled and shipped to Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, and reassembled and used for diamond exploration in Canada. So that diamond recovery plant is not there any longer. But thank you for taking a look at what a modern multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art diamond recovery plant looks like and how it works. And join me again. We'll have more information about the diamond pipes that lie outside of the Crater of Diamonds State Park, and give you some more information coming up. So thank you for joining me. Please like and subscribe and watch our videos.